Hello and welcome to CLS 508 Family Systems course. We are going to, for this week, focus on the foundations of family process theory and also look at how it relates to family systems theory. Why focus on family process theory? It focuses on the interrelationships, the mutual influences, and the dynamics of relationships within the family, and how these may affect children's behavior. And so why then is this so important? Why is family systems theory and family process theory so important? Family process theory emerged at a time where there was an unmet intellectual need in exploring families and systems and how they work with one another. And as clinicians, were meeting with children and families and trying to do what they could to help support them, they really were at a disadvantage because they could not find a theory to help to guide them in their practice. And so as a result of this, this emerged a new, reasonably coherent set of constructs for the analysis of what sociologist Gerald Handel called the psychosocial interior of the family. By the end of the 1970s, forgive the typo, the theory was recognized as a framework. And so what we see is that family system theory is important because even when people feel disconnected from members of their family, the family still has a profound impact on their emotions and their actions, whether it be positive or negative. And this is directly related to our work as child life professionals and understanding that the child doesn't exist within a silo and that the child grows and develops within the context of the family. And again, coming from this family systems perspective, understanding that what affects the child affects the family and what affects the family affects the child. Now, the place of family systems theories has really expanded in recent years. Some of these views have been around for over 40 years and have gained very wide acceptance. So to understand the history of the family process movement, we're going to review its relationships with four other major concepts: structural functionalism, inductive empiricism, general systems theory, and the field known as family relations. Excuse me. Now, the notion of viewing the family as a social system did not begin with family process theory. This notion of viewing the family as a social system was at the core of structural functional theory. And functionalism, also called structural functional theory, sees society as a structure with interrelated parts that are designed to meet the biological and social needs of the individuals in that particular society. Family is one of the important systems in society, and structural functionalism expresses this argument that the basic building block of society is the nucleus family. Now, the concept of a system is central in the construction of social reality in structural functionalism. The central concept is that people and groups interact in a social system, and they interact to create over time different concepts or mental representations of each other's actions, and that these concepts eventually become habituated into roles that members play in relation to one another. So what does this mean then for our work, and how does it apply to our role as child life specialists? In each society, the whole system of individuals find ways to fit together to make a system work. And every society has to find a way to make this work in order for the societies to survive as a system. The different social mechanisms or structures for accomplishing this function can vary from society to society or over time in the same society. Within the structure, then, the family has a place of particular significance because the form that a family may take in a particular society really depends on the structural constraints within that particular social system. Now, Talcott Parsons defines a social system as a network of interactions between actors And according to Parsons, social systems rely on a system of language, and culture must exist in a society in order for it to qualify as a social system. So in the social system, Parsons offers an interesting explanation for his own focus on system stability rather than system change. And so in it, he provides a general model of the social system, its major structural components, and the motivational processes required in order to keep the social system operational. What he posed is that the process of change of social systems is not possible in the present state of knowledge, and that the reason is that a theory would imply complete knowledge of the laws of process of the system, and this is knowledge that we just don't possess. And so he really did look at ways that systems retain their stability. And again, families greatly contribute to our social system and to the way that we have to look at the way that families interact with the environment and ways in which families interact with other environments in order to survive. What is a systems view? The systems view is a worldview, and in this most general sense, the system means a configuration of parts that are connected and joined together by a web of relationships. And so with this, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Social systems' capacity to maintain boundaries and equilibrium contribute to its ability to survive. So social systems are then a means of survival. And some of the social systems that we see may be thought of as hierarchically arranged, but within this, there are also subunits that can also be systems in their own right. And so it's this view that social systems must interact with one another in order to survive. Now, a family is a system in which each member has a role to play and rules to respect. Within the boundaries of the system, patterns develop as certain family members' behavior is caused by and causes other family members' behaviors in predictable ways. And so it's looking at those patterns. So real families operate in real time with evolving rules. And we also have to consider and look at that real families also vary widely in their goals. And there may not necessarily be consistency between one family to another family's goals. And so it's understanding that unique family and what their needs are, what their support systems are, what resources they have available to them, how they choose to use those, and what their ultimate goals as a family are collectively. Now, Ludwig von Bertalanffy, wrote that a system is a complex of interacting elements, and that they're open to and interact with their environment. It also generally means that these systems are self-regulating, so they self-correct through feedback that they receive from one another. And it's, again, this understanding that changing one part of a system has the potential then to affect other parts of the entire system. And so with Wiener and Bertalanffy, I'm not saying that right, Bertalanffy, it doesn't really roll off the tongue. General systems theory is a logical mathematical field where the task is really the formulation and derivation of those general principles that we can apply to systems in general. And he viewed psychological and social systems as lying well within the scope of this particular theory. And what they really did is that they thought of ways that they could apply this particular model to a variety of different systems. So for them, the principles of feedback and self-regulating systems and information processing applies to both the human brain and to the control system when you're talking about computers and mathematics. The family systems theory is a theory that's been introduced by Dr. Murray Bowen that suggests that individuals cannot be understood in isolation from one another, but rather as a part of their family, as the family is an emotional unit. So it's this understanding that, again, when we're working with children and families, we have to understand that the child exists within the context of the family, and the child is very sensitive to the emotional responses of family members. And again, we see this manifested when you have a parent that's anxious, and as a result, it heightens the anxiety of the child, or where the child's incredibly anxious or is in pain, and the parent is emotionally distraught as a result of watching their child be anxious and experience this discomfort. Now, family systems theory is utilized by a variety of different disciplines. Some of its earliest roots were in sociology and, again, in that general systems theory, which is why at Concordia for the family life major, we have, between the major and the minor, courses that students take that are from the field of sociology, the field of psychology, and from family life, understanding child development. So it's understanding that this work impacts all of these different fields that provide support and that work with children and families. Reuben Hill is widely regarded as the Dean of Traditional Family Scholars. He was the first recipient of the Burgess Award for Career Contribution through the NCFR, which is the organization that credentials Certified Family Life Educators, so CFLEs. And as you may know, the undergraduate program has been accredited by the NCFR as a program that when students graduate from the undergrad program, they're eligible to pursue the Certified Family Life Educator credential. So family systems theory was developed as a result of recognition for the need to look at the system, to look at the family in order to treat and to support the individual, which again is directly related to the work that we do in understanding that in order to support the child in the hospital setting, we need to do what we can to support the family. So again, it's very much in alignment with family-centered care and the principles of family-centered care, and doing what we can, again, to balance that with child-centered care, to do what we can to provide support for the child, to advocate for the child, but then again, understanding and recognizing the child within the context of the family and doing what we can to support the family and advocate for the family. Now, again, hopefully there's alignment with regards to the needs. And if there is a discrepancy where the child's needs are different than what the families are, then doing what we can to respect the family's wishes and needs while at the same time continuing to advocate for our patient. And so again, it's this understanding that we need to do what we can to support the family because they're going to be the support system for the child and they're going to influence that child's coping, and that we're going to do what we can to support the child because whatever is affecting the child, it's not just affecting the child, it's affecting the family as a unit. And it's also affecting each of the family members within that unit separately as well as collectively. And so that's why we do what we can to address the child's needs, the family's needs, and if there are siblings, providing support for those siblings as well, and understanding the effects of illness and diagnosis on the family as a whole. Do you have any questions? I have posted some videos, some links for you on Blackboard. I would encourage you to take a look at that. I'm interested to know your thoughts and how it reinforces the reading and your initial understanding of family process theory and family systems theory. And if you do have any questions, please let me know. As you can see in this particular week's class PowerPoint, each slide builds on the one before it. And so if you do have any questions regarding the content, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. Again, please review this recording in its entirety, as well as take a look at the links that have been posted on Blackboard for you as you reflect on the course content for this week. I hope that you are doing well, and I look forward to an opportunity to continue the conversation during our next class session.